Hello and welcome to the Metabreakers Podcast, starring your lovely hosts. We have the Warshack in the middle right there. It's his channel. You know who he is. He's amazing. Always putting out that amazing content for you guys. We got DracoCatt all the way in the corner over there. I see you. Looking very nice as usual. Our demon hunter extraordinaire. And then we have me, D-Money. I do things as well. I stream, and we have your Metabreakers here. We have an exciting episode for you. We have a lot of juicy info to talk about, a lot of topics, and welcome to the show. How's it going, guys?
It's going well. I'm excited. We went through like weeks of having like a dry spell, and now we've been blessed with some content to talk about. And
are you talking about my sex life, or are you talking about? Oh, sorry.
We could save that for the after party stream. That's gonna be the DLC content, chat. That's gonna be paid for. I need to be an OnlyFans for that one. Draco, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, man. I had a really good week. I've been enjoying Hearthstone. I didn't like win a whole bunch on my last couple streams, and that's fine. I've still just been enjoying playing. So it's nice when the game, I'm not just like exceedingly doing well in the game and I'm still having a good time playing. I feel like those are some of the rare moments in Hearthstone, where like at least you're trying out new stuff, you're getting to see new cards in effect, different things happening. It's just it's fun, even if it's just fun. I'm having a good time.
Yeah, the new cards are very fun. I've been having a great time with them. There's actually like a lot of games that I actually have a lot of fun playing. There's also a lot of games that I don't have a lot of fun playing, but we'll get into that a bit later when we get into some of the new cards. But
yeah, we have a segment for that new stuff that came out. We might have like a top list to share with you guys and why those, in fact, are some of the top cards that we've seen so far. But we have the meta here with the new cards. We would hope that things would get shaken up a little bit and we'd see some classes rise to the top, some of those top classes rise to the bottom. And boys, do we see literally any difference here?
It's all the weapon classes.
That is true. All of the weapon classes are at the top. We have Demon Hunter, Shaman, Warrior, Rogue, Hunter, and Paladin.
All the weapon classes.
Yeah, not really anything too different, but it's kind of interesting. So this is across all ranks that you're seeing right here. So I'm a little surprised myself to see Hunter all the way up there because I play against no Hunter. I don't think it's really that great. But I'm assuming that it's still like Highlander Hunter or Face Hunter, which are just like pretty consistently good decks. Like they're not insanely good, they're not bonkers, but like they're just like they consistently win games. So kind of makes sense to see it up there. Anything surprise you guys?
To kind of add on to your point, a lot of people when like new cards get released, most of the time more aggressive style decks, like as we know, Face Hunter is always a very just consistent deck. It always kills your opponent and it does it very quickly. So when new players are like trying like new cards and they're testing new decks that probably aren't refined like Face Hunter is, you're going to be able to pick up a lot of wins with aggro decks in the first couple days of like new cards, even a mini set and or an expansion coming out, because Face Hunter wins, it kills your opponent by turn 6, and people trying to build like decks with the new Warlock legendary probably aren't going to stand a chance. So I think that might be one of the reasons why Hunter is so high, is because it can just run over any new sort of fun deck.
Highlander Hunter is the top deck if you look at just like the meta overall for everything. It's at like a 60% win rate over everything, which is crazy.
Yeah. Even with the brand nerf.
Yeah, and to what Warshack was saying, we saw that a lot with Rogue. When the mini set first dropped, there was just a lot of it was like I was literally facing like 60% Rogue, which is what it was before the mini set dropped, and it was very frustrating. Aggro Rogue, face Rogue, like everybody was just like going face that whole like first couple of days after the mini set dropped, and like that's what people do. And they were trying out Nitro Boost because they wanted to see if it was OP or not. And spoiler alert, it's really good.
It's
Long
a 1 mana
behold.
corrupt card. Do you need to try it out? Like,
Priest.
I often
Yeah.
find myself forgetting it's corrupt and thinking it's combo, and
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
being highly disappointed in that realization all the time, because I'm so used to the oil card of the past that
Mhm.
was a combo card and not a corrupt card. So a lot of times I'll like mana burn a rogue or something and be like, okay, cool. They can't play the oil as a combo. They're gonna have to give it to just the minion. And then I'll be severely disappointed when they play it and get the full value out of it because they corrupted it the previous turn. Really good card.
Yeah. Super good. Do we want to get into the top 1K? Move right along.
Yes.
Sure, let's check it out. I'm excited to look at this.
I control warrior at the very top. What is this?
I mean, that makes sense. It's got the sticky fingers in there. It's just anything like I said before, like there's just so much aggro, so much like aggro rogue in specific that if you're playing against like 60% rogue, then you're playing control warrior. That's like your best bet to beat it. So still makes sense to me right there.
Does it have any new cards in it? Does it run the new 1 mana 1/3 gain 5 armor card for each player? I can't really see the list, and I don't see that image in its little core cards.
I doubt it. I think the Skipper Armorsmith combo is just still just what it is to get up there in armor. I don't know.
Yeah.
Even though I don't know if I see those in there.
I'm sure they are. I'm sure the Skipper Ankar combo is in there. I actually at the end of the last podcast when we had talked about Control Warrior, I had tried it, and I had I'm not a fan of Risky Skipper. I'm not a fan of Ankar. I hate it. I don't think this should do what it does. But I played it, and it was disgusting. Like I think we went like 14-3 or 14-4 with Control Warrior. It just it's pretty gross.
It's just so good. It's been so good for so long. It's like so boring. I honestly get so bored playing against warriors that run like that same combo because it's just the same thing over and over. It's the same thing we've been seeing for the past few months. It's like it's such a snore. Like I hate the argument of like having a ban on ladder, but like I want to ban warrior because it's just so freaking boring to play against. Like it's just the same thing. I just want the rotation to happen, like because everyone's trying out the new cards, trying to have fun, and then there's people just playing the same freaking combo over and over.
We
And
got to
it's
get
like,
that
okay,
top
they're gonna
32,
play-
baby.
I don't think I'm getting top 32 at this rate. I don't know. I'm gonna need a miracle, but it's just I don't know. I could go on for hours.
Yeah, I just kind of went through some of the top meta decks as you guys were talking to see if any of the new cards made any of these decks that are in the top 1K. And there's the Libram of Judgment and the Rogue card. That's it.
Also in Spell Druid, there's Arbor Up, I believe.
Yes. At the very bottom there.
Oh,
Spell
yeah.
Druid, I see the picture for it.
Very
That's
bottom,
cool,
yes.
though. Yeah. The Spell Druid, I mean,
It's-
that's kind of the newest deck we see here, right? Like that didn't exist before.
I mean, the thing is, so there's like new decks, quote unquote new decks, but these are basically like decks that people haven't been able to play for a while. They're making like a comeback and they're actually playable now, which is cool, but it gets boring very quickly. Like you start to realize like, oh yeah, I remember why I hated this deck. And
Spell
I'm
Druid? You think it's that bad?
It's pretty annoying. It's just like Arbor Up itself is just really, really good, and playing against like Tree Druid / Spell Druid, it's just not fun on the other side. Sure, maybe it's fun for the Spell Druid, but
If they hit that down with a Mount Seller down, it's pretty much GG, right? I'm imagining.
yeah, I mean, you barely even need Mount Seller. Like if you just get the 2/2s to stick and then you buff them up, or you do like the 2/2s plus Soul of the Forest, and then they can't remove it, then you Arbor Up and you win, stuff like that. And now they have Solar Eclipse, which you could do double Arbor Up or double Savage Roar, and it's very obnoxious, not gonna lie.
That sounds good.
Yeah, that
and
sounds
obnoxious.
pretty nice. I think we might be playing some Treant Spell Druid later today. The Tree Federation might just come back.
It's very
forth.
good.
Is there any other?
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the way, like, do you remember what Token Druid was like before, when it was good, before like the last rotation? Because the last, not the last rotation, but the rotation before that, when Token Druid was in the situation where people would just ramp up to it really fast and then play like Whispers of the Wisps and then Soul of the Forest that, and then you'd lose. Like that was always like the thing that would happen. So it's funny how, once again, right before rotation, Token Druid is coming back with a vengeance, you know?
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of at this point with the meta where it's still back into that situation where OTK decks are just so powerful that you have to run like hyper aggressive decks like a tree druid or like one of these rogue decks or a zoo warlock even. And like if you don't run a hyper aggressive deck, then you have to run Ticketus Warlock or a Lucia to disrupt those combos, or else you're just gonna lose eventually. So that's like what this meta has spiraled into, and I hate it.
Or an OTK yourself, chat. Though D-Money won't recommend that. That's also the other option. You can OTK them faster than they do it to you.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes. Viable solution as well.
Yeah. I mean, that's why like a lot of decks are like playable. There's like actually a decent amount of classes that are playable, but it's all the same types of decks. It's all either hyper aggressive, OTK, or a combo breaker kind of deck. So yeah, not
it's
my
rock,
thing.
paper, scissors.
Yeah. It is cool though, because it's rare that Hearthstone metas are at this point where there's like viable aggro, combo, and control like elements that you can play, and each one kind of counteracts the other. Because usually one of those classes is just kind of like taking a yeet out of the meta game, but it's always at the end of the rotation year when all three like elements to all the different kinds of decks are all being played at the same time, and it becomes like this. So it's usually short-lived. That's, I guess, like the positive perspective, right? D-Money?
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Right.
With
what do you think, Rob? Do you like it when all of the different decks are represented in the meta?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like every deck type and almost every class has a spot. When you queue into ladder, it does feel a little rock, paper, scissory, because if you're playing, like, for example, a control deck and you queue into the Pegasus Warlock, you're just going to lose. There's not really much you can do about anything in that matchup. And if you're playing, you know, an OTK deck and you queue into hyper aggro, you know, you're probably, you know, not going to have that good of a time. But that's kind of just card games in general. And that's also kind of what you're going to get when you do just a 1 out of 1 game. Magic, a little, not rant, but like Magic has a side deck feature where when you play, you can queue out a 2 out of 3, and then you're allowed to side deck quite a few cards. So even though you may be unfavored in the matchup, you can actually, in the second game that you play, if your side deck is built to what you know your deck is weak to, you side deck in those cards that are good, and you actually then stand a chance. But you're going to get that rock, paper, scissors when you're only playing one game against one person randomly queuing on ladder. You're either going to hit, you know, an unfavorable or a favorable. And that's just kind of how it is. And then that's where your techs come in to kind of give you that little leeway that you can have that could give you that edge in that unfavorable, that, you know, the Sticky Fingers tech, the Acidic Swamp Ooze tech, you know, the Malicia tech, or whatever it may be. So it really just depends.
It's kind of interesting because Hearthstone did kind of experiment with that format, because Specialist was a whole competitive format for about a year. And that was when you had the 5 card differences between the decks, where you had to start every game on your original deck. Then you had a secondary deck and a tertiary deck that you could pivot to after the first game that you play with the primary deck. And that sounds very similar to what you were kind of painting the picture with for the Magic format with the side decking.
Yeah.
Yeah. The problem with that, though, is they didn't actually like allow enough cards, and it was the same deck. And then they also counted like let's say you 5 cards, but 2 of them could be the same card. So it was only like 2.5 cards that needed to be changed. And you'd have like 3 renditions of like relatively the same deck. While in Magic, there's 60 cards in a deck, and your sideboard can be like 15, 20 cards, and you can change out any number of those. So you just had a lot more flexibility. And then also in Hearthstone, it was like really presented terribly. In Hearthstone, they didn't actually implement a side deck feature. They didn't like make it easy to understand, and that's why they immediately removed it the following season, because it just added, like, it was just very, they made it the most complicated possible way you could. And it wasn't
I mean, also it was probably a little boring. I don't know. To me, it's a little boring in Hearthstone because it's just like this. It's basically the same deck. Like you said it yourself. Like they barely changed up like the cards.
5 cards is nothing. And especially
so
when
you're only
duplicates count.
you're only watching somebody play like the same deck over and over, and they're not switching up. It's not. I don't know. To me, it's not that exciting.
Yeah, in Magic you can actually turn in you 15 cards. You can drastically change your deck. Like it's pretty impressive what you can do in my short time that I did play Magic Online. But is there, last question, when we take a look at the top 1K here, do you guys think there's going to be any deck that will rise from these new cards that you think is good but just hasn't been refined yet, or that people aren't testing because no one has built it correctly? Like what do we think it's just solidified, this is what we have, or do you think there's actually something out there that we haven't seen? D-Money?
Quest Warlock.
Okay.
I think that'll I think people just have to find the right version, but I think the deck has a lot of potential. Yeah.
I agree. That was one of my first decks that I played with the new cards, and the new Warlock Legendary is super fun. I don't know how competitive, but it's so fun. It's so fun. Tapping into 0 mana legendaries is just like puggies. Like 0 mana.
It's my new fetish, yeah.
Like if you, like, so you got that guy dies, right? And then he gives you the Warrior Prime, and then you run Hysteria. So then you play Warrior Prime and you Hysteria it, and it just starts giving you 10 armor each time. Let me tell you,
I haven't gotten that off. Jeez.
Yeah, you got to go deep in the memes, D-Money. You got to reach in there. You got to get the memes going, man.
I kind of love it. I want to play it right now. I'm getting that itch, man.
That's good, man. That's good.
I
think that new Demon Hunter archetype that kind of popped up is actually really good. It's hard to refine, and it's kind of entirely played like a control deck in the beginning part of the game against all the hyper aggro stuff right now. So it's I don't know if it's refined enough yet to make it on this list. Especially because it's kind of a new archetype as well. But have you guys seen the Fellsteel Demon Hunters on the ladder?
I have not.
Not too much on ladder, but I've seen the list a lot.
Yeah. I played a few mirrors with it, so I think it's crazy that you guys haven't seen it. But yeah, it feels really good. A lot of the new cards that Demon Hunter got make it work. I feel like a lot of people are really fast to put the 5/6, the Fell Saber, right?
Super good.
4 mana 5/6. A lot of people play those. I found that since I'm playing a whole bunch of Rogue, that playing a Bone Wraith instead just makes me win. So I don't really know if the deck has actually hit its refinement, because I feel like it might be weak to hyper aggro and the main versions that people are playing, just because the really popularized lists are always the ones from Top Legend, where there's a little bit more control and slower decks being experimented with high skill cap. But a little bit further down in Legend where I'm at now, it seems like I'm just hitting a lot of aggro rogues and stuff. So I can imagine that the deck isn't really standing on its own in its way that it was built from the high Legend decks. But it feels really, really good. Especially because there was this other version that was running around as well that ran the 3/6 lifesteal taunts. The Insatiable Fellhound. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, the corrupt,
right?
The corrupt DH card.
Yeah, and I've seen that when the new cards came out in the mini set, people started taking those out of the build to put in, the studies and things like that. And I don't think those were the cut with how aggressive the meta is right now. And the deck has this really interesting thing that it can do, where lots of times I'll have like multiple versions of those lifesteal things on the board because I copy them with philosophies and stuff. And then all of a sudden I have like 3/6 lifesteal taunts out, and then Ganoth, and then each one of them does 6, and then I win. And things like that happened, and it's just insane. But I feel like that's probably the way we want to build it when you're fighting aggro instead of control. But I think it should be it'll probably be on here eventually.
Yeah, I think so too. Seems very strong. I saw a lot of it in the tournament that I played yesterday. A
Yeah.
lot of people brought it. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's also, you have to remember too that HS replay is slow on putting decks like that back in, because in reality what they're going to do is usually just give it the wrong archetype name, and then they're not going to think it's a popular deck because like it's competing with the other deck that's the wrong art. You know what I mean? Like I've seen that deck called Aggro Demon Hunter before, and it's definitely not an Aggro Demon Hunter deck. You know, there's no 1-drops in it really.
I understand where they're coming from, because every Demon Hunter deck is aggro deck, but
That's not true though.
I'm kidding. I mean,
not
to a certain
really.
extent, yeah.
You're not kidding.
Yeah, but just because it hits you in the face doesn't make it an aggro deck. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
that's how
yeah.
you feel about it. But
The heavy hitter. Yeah, that control one that I was playing, I wouldn't consider it an aggro deck at all, but it did have like, it could kill you in 2 turns, but it didn't do it on, by turn
Yeah.
5. It did it like on turn like 7 or 8. But to mention a deck that I like, kind of like successful decks, Quest Paladin, I gave a shot to yesterday, and
Wow.
I spent the entire stream actually trying to figure out how to get this damn deck to work, and I actually finally got a rendition of the deck that I liked, and I actually was able to climb 1,500 legend ranks in the last hour and a half ish with it. So today I'll probably continue on with that and see if we can do some more climbing. Granted, my legend rank isn't necessarily that high, but still, it actually felt pretty good, because it just has like the infinite value with that hero power, and making like a lot of Murgletons is really fun with Terran Gorefiend. And against aggro decks, you have the lifesteal 4/2 guy, and you've got the Kartut Defenders. So the second you get a Kartut Defender out and you hero power it, you win. That's it. Like, game's over. So against aggro, it does very well.
Rob.
What?
You're a madman. That's crazy.
Wait, was there anything new in this deck from the new cards?
So for the new cards, it runs, I believe, a rally. I run one rally, so I get to bring back more of the either Microbots or Sir Finleys. It brings back a 3-drop, which would be the Pride, which then draws you into your other Reborn minions to get those out faster.
And it gives you a Mermy, right? Do you run Mermy?
Yes. It runs Mermies as well, which it brings back those, which are all very annoying. So that's a lot of value for 4 mana. Maybe not as much as the Miracle Priest, but it's still it's still happy.
Does the rally give you quest completion?
It does not. I tested that. Unfortunately, the rally does not help the quest, which is very sad. But completing the quest by turn 5 is very easy. Like, there's not many games that the quest doesn't get completed prior to like 5 or 6, and that's because the Prides instantly pull the Mermies, they instantly pull the other Prides, it pulls Broomsticks, and it thins the deck out like super, super fast. And so and it also runs the Temple Enforcers and all that good stuff. So getting the Reborn minions, I actually ended up taking out the 4 mana 2/5 with Taunt and Reborn, just because there was so many Reborns. I was just getting like hand clogged with minions. So it was fun.
I'm stuck thinking about what would have happened if it did complete the quest right now, because that sounds really crazy to imagine.
Yeah, you go 1, 2, 3 rally, yeah.
Reborn minions off of it or something, or 2 Reborns off of it just randomly in a row.
Yeah. I mean, that's what inspired me to test the deck. I'm like, dude, rally with Reborn sounds like a great and interactive time for my opponent. And then it didn't actually do that. But then the decks like started winning. It like felt good, but it was losing. And I'm like, there has to be something here. And I started changing things around. And then it started doing really well. And it did very, very well against aggro, which is, like D-Money said, 60-70% of what we're seeing. So
that's a good idea. I didn't think about rally and Quest Paladin, and Reborn minions are so annoying. So that makes sense that that's actually good.
Yeah, it sounds actually like it should be a good deck against aggro, so that makes sense that you're doing well with it. The problem that I would have if I was to play it would be, I do play against a lot of OTK DH and like OTK or like ETC warrior. So like a deck like that like actually has like no way to beat that. That's the problem.
It exhausts them out of
probably
resources.
is good for it.
Like, you just, that hero power every turn with the micro mummies, like if they clear it, you just put down another, because you every turn, if they don't clear your board, you're getting another free minion that has Reborn. So they have to clear your board twice every single turn. If not, you're just going to keep chipping them. and they have taunts or
Yeah,
life
but,
steal,
like,
and you start on turn
you
5.
can't be done an OTK DH fast enough, I would think.
I played 2 of them, and they had to use the resources to not die. Like, they kept just having to use their life stealing blades and like keep healing, or they would just die. Granted,
Maybe
again,
your list
not,
is nuts.
no. What I'm saying, I just don't. There's not enough testing in my. I
Yeah.
don't think my legend rank is
Yeah.
as if your guys. So the DHs are probably much better. So I wanted to play it more today and keep testing because it actually just felt really good, and it's such a weird deck. So we'll see. We can head into.
They probably have to hit double immolation aura before like you complete quest. Like I would imagine that would be important if like
Oh,
you
yeah.
were playing the OTK, but they probably don't mulligan for that really, because I mean, if I was playing OTK Demon Hunter, I might keep. I would keep an immolation aura in the mulligan, but I wouldn't keep 2 ever. You know, I wouldn't assume I'm playing against the quest paladin with rally or something like that. That's really specific. Like people probably have no idea what they're jumping into as well.
They do.
You know,
They have no idea. And then the deck tops out at 6 mana. The Cartoots are the last part of the deck, so it's very aggressive, like for a value deck. So it's interesting.
Interesting.
We'll keep testing. We can head
like
into our top 5. Sort of like really powerful cards that we've seen from the Dark Moon races. If you haven't played a lot of Hearthstone in the past couple days, and you kind of want to know what's good and if you know what to craft, what decks to look at, we can move into our first card here. We have the Conjure Mana Biscuit. Tempo Mage is on the rise. APX Void is having a lot of success with this card in his Elemental, I believe, Tempo Mage. A lot of people are trying it out, and D-Money unfortunately had a pretty bad experience with this card yesterday night. I saw a couple people in chat mention that. So what do you guys think of the Mana Biscuit? Obviously, it's good, right?
So it's not just Tempo Cyclone Mage, it's also Mozaki Mage. It's been really big in Mozaki Mage. Now I actually face a lot of Mozaki Mage. And this allows them to get the combo off on you on like turn 6 or turn 7, like pretty consistently, which is pretty crazy. It kind of feels like you're playing in wild mode, not gonna lie. The card is just super strong, and like even in Cyclone, it's really strong too because it's just a free card or a free 2 cards that you get to play for your Cyclone. Also, if you get Sorcerer's Apprentice out, then you get an extra mana back. It's just really, really good overall. And it did scam me yesterday from a Solarian Prime, but that's irrelevant. Yeah.
When I read this card and thought about it when it first got like announced, I thought this seemed like a druid card that Mage got because of it's a spell that creates another spell that cheats mana, which seems exactly like something that you would put in druid. You know what I mean? Because, but the fact that they're giving Mage tools like this again means that they're kind of this is a pro combo card. You know, it's meant to do that, and I really, really like so many things about it, which are like they printed the Battlegrounds hero AFK. That's her. She is in the art of the card, so they printed AFK into a Mage card, which is neat. And in the fact that you just get a biscuit in your hand and it looks so flaky and delicious, like. I don't mean to say that this card is flavorful, but it looked delicious as well. And I think it's fine that Mozaki Mage is back in the meta, but I play Demon Hunter most of the time. And I don't really know what kind of Mage deck can really deal with being hit in the face over and over and over again. But if they get their combo out on turn 6 because of this card existing, that's great. I feel like that's rare to do though. If like you probably have to play a slower deck where they can kind of like go off on the cyclones and everything, right? Without having to react to the board states, right?
Wait, are you talking about the combo?
Yeah, like how do you get it off on turn 6? Like,
you probably have to have played a biscuit,
and you have to play a Phoenix, right? For the for like all the cram study draw or something. I imagine.
My experience with the Duelist Mage, because this was the second deck that I played with the new cards, and
you played a whole bunch of this.
Yeah. I played like 4 or 5 hours of just this deck, refining it, and finally getting it to like winning by like D-Money said, about turn 5 or 6, you're basically able to kill your opponent. And the combo is you're able to, like, Incanter's Flow is what really like works with this, because you Incanter's Flow, this goes to 1, and then you can play your Mozaki and Sorcerer's Apprentice, and then you play Biscuit for free, and then like he said, it adds 2 spells, and then you're able to use the Biscuit with the Cram after you've already played probably 3 or 4 spells to draw 3 cards with the Cram, because you only need 1 Cram to really get the combo rolling. And then from there, you have 2 extra mana from the Mana Biscuit. It gave you 3 extra spells from playing the Conjure Mana Biscuit, the Eating the Biscuit, and then the Cram itself. And then you're able to draw a ton, and then you just kill your opponent from there. And every card in your deck is basically 1 mana. You got Arcane Missiles, you got Ray of Frost, you got your Magic Tricks, which can generate more Mana Biscuits, which is actually just the nuts. So it's crazy. The only part of the deck is it has like literally 0 defensive tools other than the double Frost Nova that you run in the deck. You naturally don't want to use your Ray of Frost in the early game to stop your opponents from attacking, because your Ray of Frost is a 0 mana, 2 spells that adds to your Mozaki spell power. So the key is to just stay alive. But like, as you said, you playing Demon Hunter, like, you just smash through this. And getting the combo off on turn 5 or 6 is a kind of a high roll, but against slower decks that aren't putting up a fight in the early game, being able to get the elemental allies off, draw 3 spells. Those 3 spells are normally Incanter's Flow, Arcane Intellects, or Cram Sessions. Like, it just, as soon as you get one of the draw mechanics, it cycles into the rest of it. So you just continuously just pop off. It's disgusting.
Yeah, I bet Bomb Warrior counters this really well.
Yes. Annihilates it.
Like, really well.
Yeah. You draw so fast, so like, you drawing the bombs, you just die.
Yeah.
So it's not
I can't
unbeatable.
imagine that working out well. Do you run Mana Giants, Mozaki? No. You don't run Mana Giants, right?
Nope.
Like,
it caps out at the Duelist.
Yeah, okay. I think it would be an interesting world to live in if Mozaki Mage was tier 1. But it's crazy this card's in the game.
It's getting to that point.
I don't hate this card. I think it's awesome, but I understand that it allows a lot of broken, crazy shit to happen. So.
Yes, I'm trying to think of a way we could do some Malagos OTK with this card. I'm trying to think of what the body of that deck would look like. But moving to our next one, I feel like we talked a lot about the Biscuit. We have Hysteria, the new Priest and Warlock dual class card. We have anything to say about this one?
No, next card.
This card single-handedly broke Wild as a format, which a lot of people in the Hearthstone community were really pissed about this week. I know we don't talk a lot about Wild on this podcast, but this card broke the entire format because of a combo with Wretched Tiller.
Yes.
Wretched Tiller. You make it immune, you take its attack away, and then you hit it with an Hysteria. And then it just attacks the board forever. And does 2 damage to your opponent's face every single time it swipes into something. And the reason it makes people really, 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 really mad, because if you're playing the Armor Druid or something that essentially develops, like 40, 50, 100 armor before they can do the Tiller combo, after the game does all 60 hits and you don't die. It
skips your turn, doesn't it?
It skips your turn. Just kind of like exactly the way it looked when Nozdormu would pop out of an Ysera portal at the end of your opponent's turn. You just watch the rogue go at its end. So they get to do it again afterwards usually. And that it's I think that's a weird perspective too, to think about, like, what it probably makes you even more mad when you don't die. And then you have your turn skipped. And then they do it again, and then it's just kind of thinking like, okay, this is actually breaking Hearthstone. So
R.I.P. Wild. That's all I have to say.
Well, they said that they're going to be changing it.
Yeah, they did address that it will be changed soon. We don't know how, but probably not Hysteria. Probably something with Tiller or something else. I don't know.
Yeah, you could just have, say, Tiller just when it attacks face. Oh, that's all you got to do. When this attacks the enemy hero.
Something.
The card that fixes it immediately.
Well, Tiller doesn't attack your face. It attacks the other minions, and then the
effect you change the text on Tiller, because right now it says when it attacks, it does 2 or 3 damage. If you just say when it attacks your opponent's hero, and then it's fixed.
Okay, yes, right. Something like that. They got to change something, but in standard, however, this card is just really good. I mean, if you saw it like before they even released it, or before it got released, it was just like it just looks insane. I mean, it just reminds you of like Battlegrounds, like mass hysteria kind of thing. Like this thing could just clear a whole entire board. Like Zoo Warlock, you're playing against Zoo Warlock, they play a Flesh Giant. Like you're gonna hysteria. It kills off a lot of the stuff, and a lot of situations. It's just really really good. You could do some really cool navigating through boards with it. You could use it on your own minion if you want. Um, Card is super super good. I love it, but it has actually had. There's actually like not too many situations to play it in. There's a lot of situations where it does feel awkward. So it is very strong, but it's on like certain kind of boards. Like if the board is just like a lot of the same kind of statted minions, like a lot of 3/3s or something like that, then it's really not going to do too much for you. So it's pretty situational. Not really good against like aggro rogue because they're just smacking your face. This will only clear like one or two things off, but yeah, the card's super good. I love it personally as like a priest player, and I do like control warlock kind of decks too. So big fan, big fan.
Question. You obviously play this in priest. If you apotheosis your opponent's minion and then hysteria it, you get the lifesteal, right?
Yeah.
Not if you apotheosis their minion. They get the lifesteal for it.
Well, why? Because if you're playing a paladin and you play the 1-mana Blessing of Wisdom that draws a card and you play that on your opponent's minion, when they attack with it, you get the card.
Because lifesteal's different.
Yeah.
Because
Lifesteal's different.
the Blessing of Wisdom text is choose a minion whenever it attacks, draw a card. Apotheosis is give a minion lifesteal. So that's your opponent's minion that's smacking into stuff with lifesteal. And if your opponent's minion hits them with lifesteal, then your opponent heals.
Okay. Yeah, because
the only way you could get the heal with putting apotheosis on their minion would be like playing Soul Mirror afterwards, something like that.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's super good with apotheosis, like hysteria, like on your own minion. Yeah.
Free heals.
Pretty much, yeah. It's really cool. I mean, have you had any cool combos? You said the Kargath Prime before with it.
Yeah.
But
so
anything else really cool?
That's crazy.
I mean, the Kargath was probably the one that like stood out the most. Besides that, it ends up just being like a nice like 2-for-1. To be honest, like you spend 3 mana and you kill 2 minions. It's like a what is it? Or like the old weapon, the 5 mana
Super
1/3.
Collider.
Yeah, Super Collider. It reminds me of like a lot of like that.
Yeah, and it's only 3 mana, and that's like the worst case scenario is that it kills 2 guys. So
Yeah.
really cool card.
Very.
It's kind of not reliable, but it's doable in Warlock on a intentional basis because of the other Warlock card that shuffles primes into your deck. So that Kargath thing that Warshack's talking about isn't even that ridiculous of a shenanigan because you can shuffle the Kargath Prime in your deck that runs Hysteria. That's just something you can build your deck to do. So crazy shit. All right, let's go on.
All right, Draco card.
DracoCatt studies. Oh, sorry.
Discover an Outcast card. Your next one costs 1 less. So the first thing that everyone thought when they looked at this card was Skull on 5 or whatever. But since this card has came out and I've played with it a whole bunch, I've gotten a Skull of Gul'dan out on turn 3 about 3 times, which is pretty ridiculous. And most of the games where you know you can do this, you can plan to do it too. Like things like if you're playing a priest or something with Demon Hunter now, you can be like, okay, let me just put 3 skulls in my hand and then reduce them down to play the first one on turn 3, and then I'll play the next one after that. And you can just kind of cycle through your whole hand and make it cost 0, which is ridiculous. But that's not even the only thing it does. There's a lot of misplays I've seen people doing who I've watched people play with this card because they choose Glide. I think I watched someone in the tournament pick Glide and throw the game with that card. I I think that happened one time. And I've seen a lot of my opponents glide my hand out with Illidari Studies into better shit as well. Which is, yeah. So people have to remember what Demon Hunter cards are good and bad again, which is nice. I do like the Stelina discoveries. That ends up being incredible sometimes. Like, I know I played against an ETC warrior who had like 6 cards left in his deck, and I knew he had the combo, and I just landed it right on the ETC. So I could play minions on the board again. That was the nuts. The glaive, the bite, what is that called? Dreadlord's Bite. That card against aggro rogue when they have all the stealth minions out. Absolutely the nuts. Like, this card just gives Demon Hunters so much flexibility that it didn't have before to deal with board states that go awkward with the cards that you put in your deck, which is just amazing. So, probably the best Demon Hunter card we've gotten in a long time.
Yeah, this is an insane Demon Hunter card. The fact that it, of course, puts the card that you discover into the rightmost part of your hand, right into the outcast position, is really big. And just that discount, that future discount that just stays there, it's just so huge. I've never seen a skull on turn 3, but it sounds disgusting. I almost threw up in my mouth when you said it. But yeah, there's a lot of really good outcast cards that just makes this really good. There's really no bad outcast cards. They're all generally good. There's a few that are pretty situational, but overall you're going to get a good card from this, or just use it for the discount at the very minimum, which is still good enough, pretty much.
Skull on turn 3 isn't even that insane to think about, as people thought at first was, because it's like you play Illidari Studies on 1, you play Winemaker on 2, you play another Illidari, and then you play or you just play another one in your hand, and then you like coin one out, and then what's it called? You get it. You get
it
out.
Seems a little ridiculous. I don't know.
Skull on 3 seems a little broken.
I've gotten 3 of them in my hand before turn 3, a lot of times with running like wand makers and being on coin and stuff. So it's pretty ridiculous.
Remind me to watch when you're queuing and not queue into you. Yeah.
I don't know though. It's definitely like not an every game scenario where you can do that kind of stuff. It's just when it's really lucky and it works out. But yeah, sometimes I don't know. I don't know if Demon Hunter needed this card to be in the game to stay viable, but it really helps. So
yeah, it kind of scares me because this is now moving into the giving Demon Hunter a class that didn't really have a lot or really any good created by. Now it has created by, which is supposed to be something Demon Hunter stayed away from. It was supposed to not have created by. That's why a lot of players like it or dislike it, is because like, oh, it feels overpowered, but you have to remember Demon Hunter has no created by. Everything in the deck just does what it says it's going to do. But now we have our first 1 mana get to discover something, and it reduces it. So down the rabbit hole we go.
There was also the Netherwalker card. So they said
that card
Demon
was terrible.
Yeah, because it discovers a demon, but
yeah,
that all relies on the demon pool.
That's fine.
Yeah, it was a 2 mana 2 to discover a demon, and a lot of and sometimes classes get to do things that are considered their weakness. You know, I don't know if this is a good example though, because this one is just really good.
Yeah, this is like, there's literally no reason to not play this card in any Demon Hunter deck you build, right?
Yeah.
Like, why would you not play this?
It's got so much synergy with other cards that you want to already run in Demon Hunter too. Like, it works with Skull of Gul'dan and Penflinger.
Yeah.
It comes off Wand Maker, and it's just...
Yeah, it's insane.
It's
and
there.
The thing is, as just like a card game player, I don't like having to put auto includes in decks. That destroys deck building. It destroys a lot of aspects that I find enjoyable of creating like really interesting decks, is when you have cards like this where you just auto include it. If I want to play a Highlander Demon Hunter, you put this in. If you play an aggro Demon Hunter, you put this in. Soul Shard Demon Hunter, you put this in. And like, I want options. I want to be able to like, oh, this is a competitive 1-drop, but so is this. This is also a competitive 1-drop. But now this is the 1-drop. So
I mean, in Hearthstone currently, there's like you build a deck, and it's you have to like auto include 20 cards.
Yeah,
pretty
and I don't
much.
think that's good. I'm not saying
It's
Demon
not.
Hunter is the
Yeah.
sole like perpetrator of this. I'm just saying that this is not a direction I like. I don't like I'm sure this card's super fun and I'm gonna play with it, but it's still not. I think we could have a card that is also 1 mana, but is just as fun as this, but isn't as
I do have
broken.
to admit, when they originally released all the Scholomance cards in all of the classes got a study, I was wondering why Demon Hunter didn't get one. And then I thought to myself, maybe that's because they didn't want it to have discovery, so they just kind of decided, nah, fuck it, you know. But
we had to wait for the DLC.
Now, so they could have made it worse. They could have made it say discover an outcast minion.
Very true.
And that would have been another very narrow pool of cards that's what I would have imagined that they would have done. Because most of them are like discover a spell damage minion, discover a demon, but this one is just a generic outcast card, which means like you can get like, okay, let me just take the draw from spectral sides. Let me take the eye beam so I don't die to this hunter. Let me take, you can pivot to anything really. You can find extra silences. I find myself keeping those all the time with these things. But
yeah, it makes it less consistent to get exactly what you're looking for, but then it also makes it so like if you do get what you were looking for, if you get like that niche thing, then your opponent's going to be just outraged even more. It's just like a feels bad card for your opponent in a lot of situations, like more than it could have been. But yeah.
And from the Demon Hunter perspective, just like with all Discovery RNG based cards, it feels really fun. Because with Demon Hunter before, there was so many rare situations to like do really thinky plays. With like outside of the way like trades are dictated, the way like mana is counted over turns, and the way you manage your hand, there was not a lot of like preparation you do for your opponent other than like holding weapon charges. But with Illidari studies now, it allows Demon Hunter piloting to even be a little bit more complex. And I enjoy that a lot as a person who's playing it, where all of my games now have a little bit more variance in what happens now. So from the person who plays Demon Hunter all the time, I understand that this sucks, but like,
yeah, it's just like any other. It's like any other class, pretty much.
Yeah, it's just makes playing it more fun now too, though.
Somebody in chat saying, "What about Paladin and Rogue studies?" Yeah, I don't think you want a Libram studies or a Lackey studies in the game. So let's just calm down there for a second.
Lackey studies where it reduces the next Lackey.
Yeah.
So it's just that would just be the Warlock card. What is it? Sinister
Deal.
Sinister Deal with reduction to make the Lackey free. That's broken.
We should probably move on to the next card, though. We are kind of running low on time, and we still have a lot to talk about. So
yeah. We're at just over an hour now, and I know we want to keep these till about an hour. So
well, I think we started like 12 minutes into the stream, so we're at like 50 minutes, I think.
Okay. But, we have Arbor up, Token Druid card. D-Money, you had some experiences with this. I haven't played it yet, so I can't really talk.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about it a little bit before with Spell Druid, but this card is actually just really, really good. It's really good in Spell Druid. It's really good in Tree Druid, of course, and it's a lot more powerful than it first seemed to me. When I first saw it, I was like, yeah, whatever. It's a card. It's fine. And after you see it played, it's like, oh wow, this actually does a lot more than it seemed. Like even just the 2/2/2s with the +2/+1, that's already like they're both 4/3, so you're already getting 8/6 in stats, which is okay for 5 mana. It's pretty good for 5 mana actually. But like you would play an 8/6 for 5 mana.
What's the classic epic card that's just a worse version of this? What is that called?
Force of Nature.
Yeah, this is just a better version of that, right?
Well, you play both, of course, and like especially with Lightning Bloom now, and you have the Solar Eclipse that I was talking about before. It just like it's very, very scary actually to play against the Druid right now. Like they have the Aeroponics to draw 2 cards, and they always have 2 of them in their hand when they play as Force of Nature somehow. Um, but yeah, this card is really nuts. I think it's undervalued, or at least I undervalued it. But it's definitely nothing to laugh at. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. I believe this is the last card, and it's obviously what everybody was calling to be really, really good. It's like the new Tinker Sharp oil for rogues. This is, you're playing any sort of stealth, playing against any sort of stealth rogue or weapon rogue, they're going to be running a nitro boost. When it gets corrupted, which was interesting, not combo, give a minion and your weapon +2 attack, which equates to basically a 1 mana deal at least 4 more. And again, if they can attack with the weapon the following turn, because they have a sharp sword out, then the 2 attack just spirals out of control, and it makes a lot more damage than that. So
yeah, we wanted to bring this card up because this card is actually awful. I'm kidding. This card's insane. This is probably the best card that we got in the mini set, or one of the best cards. This card's just absolute nuts. Everybody was talking about it before it dropped, comparing it to like Tinker Oil, the sharp sword oil. Yeah, this card is yeah, that was a funny joke, right? This card is insanely good. I hate it. I don't know. Do you guys think it's gonna be nerfed? Like it's like just like too good, right? I don't know.
I would like it to be. I mean, I don't see the point of a 1 mana corrupt card entirely. To be honest, especially if it's in one of the classes that's already the most powerful in the game, and flexible. Because this could also just be discovered out of like lackeys and shit too. And I'm just, no, thank you. I know I do not like. I don't know, man. Rogue did not need more gas.
Yeah, the 1 mana is what's scary, because like they can do their very early like secret passage on turn like 3, 4, or 5, and then all of a sudden they get like 2 nitro boosts and the game's over. You know what I mean? Like 2 mana for 8 damage is just that's a 30 of your life, and they didn't even use any cards in their hand. It's if they use their fake hand. So
wait, I have a question. I think this is a stupid question, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. If you secret passage and then you corrupt, if you secret passage and you get this card off a secret passage and then you corrupt it, does it stay in your hand? I don't think so, but it technically changes into another card, right?
I would think it does, right? That's a good question. Chat, does anybody know if you if secret passage was corrupt?
I feel like it shouldn't, just because that would be way too good. But
copying effects are weird with
it stays after
corrupted.
corrupted.
It does stay?
Stays after corrupted.
All
so
right.
yeah,
it's
so
even
it's
better
even
than I
broker.
thought.
Yeah, it's even
God.
more bonkers.
More broker.
More broker, chat.
So you can probably see it from like hand reading, right? Like there's probably not another good explanation of like what happens if your opponent like plays secret passage and then sneaky delinquent, and then one of the cards in their hand stays there even though they didn't draw anything. So you can probably find it in their hand if with that logic, you know, like if you pay attention, you can just see it.
Yeah, that's true. I'm gonna have to pay attention to that more. That's crazy.
Point.
I just thought about that now, and I'm wow.
Yeah, there's no other explanation, so you can go do complete hand reading with these things now.
If you can live long enough.
Well,
all right.
If you see the next turn, yes.
You're like, okay,
even
now
survive.
I'm definitely dead. I'm sure I'm dead.
I've used my hand reading abilities to determine that I am being obliterated next turn. GG's.
Yep.
All right, so we've got our last piece of the pie for this Metabreakers podcast. D-Money's going to break down the Masters Tour and what Blizzard basically laid out for this year.
Yeah, so new Masters Tour announcement this week. They said that it's going to essentially for a Masters Tour, it's going to be double the amount of people that get into the Masters Tour, which is also going to result in actually, I don't know if it's exactly double, but it's just more people will get into the Masters Tours, and only half of the people that participate now will get money, will get in the money, as opposed to you getting $800 just for participating in the tournament, just for like getting into the tournament and playing it, which is a big deal. A lot of people are very upset because you do work very, very hard to get into the tournament in the first place, and then for you to go home with nothing is going to feel very, very bad. And like half of the people are going to go home with nothing.
But
Yeah.
also, it's all from home, correct? So
It is
you're
all from
technically
home.
already home.
Yes, but you're putting in all this time and effort to getting into the tournament, which is a lot of time and a lot of effort. So,
Well, can I interject one sec? So
Sure.
if they're all right, so if they're increasing the pool of players that are being invited to the tournament by half, right? They're increasing it by twice. And then the players who are receiving money are cut by twice. Isn't that just giving the people who make it in the tournament a greater chance? Like you're basically getting more players that are able to get into the tournament to be able to even have the ability to earn money. It's literally just better in all aspects, right? Would you rather, like, if it's just top 16 and you don't make top 16 and all top 16 make money, then that's fine. But if you're inviting top 32 and then they're saying, hey, we're gonna gather twice as many players, but you still have to do as good as before to make money, at least you have that option to try to do, like, you know what I mean? You still have the ability to make money, right?
He's saying that there's not actually a difference.
There's no
yes,
difference. They're just giving more players opportunity to make money. This is like literally only a good thing.
I don't know if it's actually
you just want your participation award.
I actually don't think it's actually double the amount of people. I don't remember how many it used to be. But I think it's like a little more people get in. We don't even know if it's top 32 for the next few months. Like for the rest of the year, they haven't announced that part yet. So all we know is that it's top 32 for this month.
Oh, I thought you were saying that's what it's going to be for all of them.
People are speculating that it's top 32 this month because it's compensating for last month, which didn't qualify for anything. Which does make sense. But yeah, a lot of people like just want their guaranteed money, and that's understandable. But also at the same time, I'm a very competitive player, and hearing about this, it doesn't change anything for me because I don't think I'm going to be below half the people. I think I'm going to be consistently above 200 people, and it just makes me want to work even harder to get up there. And yeah, I don't know. To me, as a competitive person, like I don't care that half the people don't get paid out. Like if you don't get paid out, then you didn't do well and you didn't prepare enough or something like that. Sorry if I'm being so harsh, but that's what it is.
I don't think there's any reason people should be upset about this.
Yeah,
I think it makes the competitive circuit more competitive.
Yeah,
it
you
allows
get more players.
people to get involved on the high level competition, but only pays the ones that succeed.
Yeah, you go to a tournament, you don't perform, you don't get anything. That's the whole point of
the
this
tournament.
tournament.
Leave your home now. Like
I'm
if
just
they
giving
had
you
to
both
travel,
sides of the coin here.
If they had to travel to Korea and stuff, and they didn't get their $800, that'd be bullshit. But now they just get to sit at home, so they're not going home. They are home.
Yeah, so you do get to sit at home, but you're actually sitting in one of the places in Azeroth. Is that what it's called? I don't know.
Do you really not know what the World of Warcraft universe is called? D-Money? Did you just like non?
That's not it.
No, you said it as like such disrespect.
Well, you will be in the WoW universe because all the they made a cute little thing here with
the world map.
The world map, yes. This is the world map in World of Warcraft, and all the Masters Tours will be held at these fictional places in World of Warcraft, like Orgrimmar, and Dalaran, and Undercity. So, just a little flavor. It doesn't really mean anything at all, but it's just saying, like, yeah, it's all online, but you get to play in your favorite World of Warcraft city. Woohoo! I don't know. Not really thrilled about this, but some people like it. Hey, just cute. It's a cute little thing. I'm sorry, Warshack. I'm sorry.
You're actually hurting me.
What's it called?
Yeah.
What's...
Just stop. Oh God.
Are you asking what like the entire World of Warcraft like universe is called?
What?
Azeroth.
Yeah, that's it.
So Azeroth is the thing on the left and the thing on the right. You know?
Are you talking
Dude,
about the
I don't know.
continents?
I played the game for 2 years when I was like 13 years old. All right, so
You played for 2 years and you can say Orgrimmar?
I was 13 years old. I didn't even know what a fucking I didn't
Kalimdor?
even know how to read, bro.
Eastern
Jeez.
Kingdoms? Come on, man.
Yeah, whatever. It's the WoW universe. You get it. All right.
Oh God, Chad, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, so they changed a few things with the MT, the Masters tournaments, and they also changed a couple things with the way that you get into Grandmasters. There's now like a point system where if you do anything below 7 and 2 in the Masters tours, you get literally nothing.
Whoa.
You get no points. Like you get money, but you get no points towards Grandmaster. And like it used to be that like the top earners get like the top money earners get a spot in Grandmaster. So even if you finish 6 and 3, like what I did, the Masters Tour Montreal,
which is a great record.
I got like, thank you. And I got like $2,000. Like that is now going to get me 0 points counting towards this new system. But back then it would have given me the $2,000 to add on to whatever else I would have earned along the rest of the year. So that is something that I'm not really thrilled about, and a lot of people aren't really too thrilled about. It's just like you have to, if you're like, and like the thing is with Hearthstone, like everybody knows, like there's a decent amount of RNG, so you can just get RNG'd out of a tournament, like I got yesterday. All right, so
question.
It's hard to be consistent sometimes. Yeah.
Question about the 7 and 3 thing. So if they're adding more players, would the records then require players to do better over time? So like right now, you like you're 6 and 3. That was like what, top 16 or something like that? That was like really high up there.
No.
What was 6 and 3?
I can't remember.
What was your placement?
Maybe it was around like top 20 or something like that. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, because
I know 7 and 2 people like don't even get into top 8.
Which is crazy. That record's amazing.
Yeah.
So the only reason I guess that would be is because the record needs to be better because there's more players because the tournament's then extended, right? So like I don't know. It just seemed that having that good of a record seems crazy to me that you wouldn't be able to move forward in the tournament and also not be able to get points to qualify you to get into the Grandmasters, which is what every Masters Tour player wants. You go Masters Tour and then Grandmasters. That's the journey. So
yeah, it's I mean it's just what it is. There's still so much money backing these tournaments that it's like you still got to go for it. And like if you do well in like one of these tournaments, then it could change your whole life. Really, like being in Grandmasters is a big deal. You get a lot of money, and just like even like playing like even still finishing like 6 and 3 in these tournaments, still like getting $2,000 every 3 months or every 4 months, like that's still a decent amount of money, and that's like enough to like make streaming like a big thing, like for someone like me. So like an actual like way to have like a reliable income. So I'm gonna still give it my all. You know, it got a little harder, it seems, but I like competition, and that drives me. So yeah. Just wanted to bring this up for everybody that wanted to. Everybody that was curious about the new system, how it works. I don't really know fully how it works. Like there's still a little information that I'm not sure of completely, but yeah.
Yeah, you're a battle-hardened veteran now. You're gonna go in there and you're gonna slay all the newcomers. No money for you. No money for you. No points for you.
Bad,
man. Well, with that
Q&A.
What was that, Draco?
Shall we do Q&A now, gentlemen?
Yeah, I was gonna say, do we want to skip Q&A because we're at over an hour now, or do we want to do like maybe 1 or 2 Q&As? It's up to you guys.
1 or 2 Q&As sounds great.
Okay.
So if you have any questions, anybody in chat, feel free to question them, to ask them.
Whatever.
And we will answer them. Probably. Is D-Money drunk? I just woke up before the podcast, so a little bit. I'm the new crackhead of Metabreakers Podcast.
I don't know, man. What is the best deck everyone is sleeping on? That's a good question.
I mean, we kind of went over that before when Warshack asked that kind of question.
Probably Spell Druid. That's what we kind of summed up for that, right?
Well, no. Well, I said Quest Warlock.
Quest Warlock, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I think
said
just
Demon Hunter.
I think people just haven't found the right list yet, including myself. But I think it's pretty damn strong, and it's actually like really fun. So I'm hoping that is a deck that everyone's sleeping on. I'm hoping that becomes a thing.
Is
That'd be cool.
Penflinger more annoying or Convincing Infiltrator? I like Penflinger, so I pick Convincing Infiltrator.
I think Penflinger is the most annoying one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Convincing an Infiltrator is just like a good card. It's not even like insanely good, or it's not. It doesn't call you a freaking loser every time it's played, and then it doesn't say it wasn't him, but I know it was him.
I get a sense of satisfaction doing the APM off of Penflinger whenever I'm like going for it, and I'm like, Penflinger twin slice, Penflinger second size, Penflinger, and I can do it really fast, and I feel really good about it. So I like Penflinger. That's my opinion.
Very unpopular opinion, but it is your opinion.
If you can do the Penflinger APM, it feels really good. It's just like one of those moments where it's great.
Agree to disagree.
Okay.
Penflinger, it's only because the 0-mana cards are a thing. If the 0-mana cards weren't a thing, Penflinger wouldn't be a problem. So like Demon Hunter playing Penflinger, I don't really mind it because they don't have infinite 0-mana cards. But for like Libram Paladin, like to see like 30 plus Penflingers over the course of 5 minutes, you'll suck a fat one. Like I don't want no part of this.
I hate that too, but yeah.
Honestly, like my only problem with Penflinger is that it doesn't die when it's like being killed while it's being bounced back. I just think like if it gets pressure plated, it should just die. It shouldn't like just become immune. I didn't see that in the spell burst in the. I didn't see that in the fine print that it becomes immune when it's spell burst. I don't know. But
I had a moment where I had like exact lethal with a Penflinger this week, and then my opponent got a Naz Dormu out of a DQA on the previous turn. So I only had 15 seconds to do the entire lethal, and it felt damn good being like, oh, I've trained for months to do this moment. To just be like, to do like Penflinger second size, Penflinger twin size, and I just did the whole thing really fast, and I was like, yes, I can do it in 15 seconds. How dare you?
I can do it in 15 seconds too. You know what I mean? All right. I think that's about all the time.
That's all the questions we have today, folks.
Thanks for showing up, guys.
Thanks for being here. We're gonna wrap that up real fast. Oh,
I should have wrapped it up real fast last night.
Oh my god!
All right, I'm out of here.
Enough.
I'm out of here.
Stop.
This
is why my chat's so weird, Warshack. All right, because
I believe you. I trust me. I know. I'm in your channel. Just because I lurk. I know. You may not know when I'm there, but I know when I'm there, and I know.
All right, I'll say some weird shit about you next time in my channel.
Yeah. Whenever I'm editing, like I hop into like 3 or 4 or 5 sometimes streamers chats at a time. I'll just like leave them all on unmute, and I'll just like edit to drive myself insane because fuck it, right? And yeah, I lurk in a lot of people's streams. Give them the extra view, man. It really helps. People don't understand. Extra views help.
True. Extra views matter. Lurking matters.
It does. It does. It
does. Really does. It adds up.
So with that, I want to thank you guys again for another fantastic Sunday afternoon podcast streaming extravaganza. Super awesome sauce. D-Money, thanks for being here, and Draco, thanks again for being here as always. It's always a pleasure talking about some children's card game stuff with the peoples. So thank you.
Have a wonderful day, guys. Thank you for having me.
Yes, if you were here for the podcast, I hope that you stick around for Warshack's stream. He's going to probably be playing Hearthstone right after this. So
yes, I will.
Don't go anywhere. Don't change that channel.
Cause stay tuned, folks. Have a good day, guys. Catch you guys later.
Thanks for having me. Yeah,
Of course. Thanks for having me.